So this bill before us today really is about how do we want our system to work? Do we want a free market system or do we want a government-controlled collectivist system? That's the question. And that's the question because if you look at what this bill does, it implements a board that controls prices. If I'm wrong about that, I hope somebody will correct me because the way I read it, this board can put caps on prices. Well, what's the big significance of that? We all want cheaper prescription drugs. We all want that. I commend that from my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. But what's going to happen? What always happens when the government gets involved in controlling prices? This isn't rocket science. This is something that we've seen over and over and over again. And it's very tiring to see how all the data can be ignored. I wish I could come up with some great impassioned emotional speech that would draw people to this. All I can do, though, is rely on the data and the facts, and I guess it's not very exciting. But when you ignore that, what you're left with, you're left with people that are not as well off. They have less. This bill is not going to help people. This bill is not going to lower prices. Why? What are the tenets of a free market? First off, number one is private property. Okay, so we've crossed the hurdle on this one. This bill does not violate private property rights directly. What's the second part of a free market? The second tenet, competition. Competition spurs innovation and entrepreneurship, and competition regulates the economy. When people decide they want a certain product, they go and they buy it. And it's kind of like they're casting their vote on where they want production. It's very decentralized. It regulates through supply and demand in an efficient manner. When that gets substituted by a board of people, a centralized board of several people, a handful of people who are going to be making the decisions on behalf of millions of people, it creates a massive opportunity for inefficiencies. What if they make a mistake? What if they become corrupt and somebody gets to them? That happens so often. The risks of this bill are so glaringly obvious. I cannot believe it's even up here for a vote. Well, what's going to happen? Why do we have such a disproportionate amount of innovation in pharmaceuticals in the United States of America as opposed to the rest of the globe? Why do we have so much of the innovation? It's because the producers are free to innovate, and they are free to have the market regulate the supply and the demand of the product. If you eliminate that, there's no incentive for innovation or entrepreneurship. It goes away. The competition is destroyed. This does not benefit people. This hurts people. Illnesses that we want to see healed are not going to be healed. This is a bad idea. It's anti-competitive. It's anti-free market. And what ends up happening is when you take away basic free market principles, it ends up hurting society as a whole. As Friedrich Hayek said in his book, The Road to Serfdom, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't know the direct quote, but the march to serfdom doesn't just happen in one step, it's a slow walk. And this is a step down that road toward a society that's not free. Freedom is indivisible. If you try to divide it apart and like, well, we'll have freedom here but not here, it doesn't work that way, I'm sorry. If you take away freedom in the economy, you take away freedom in the society as a whole. Thank you, Madam President.